So if you guys have been following the channel lately, then you know that I have recently become debt-free. In total, it took me about 6 years to pay off the full size of the loan, but over the last 2.5 years was when I paid off the last approximately $75,000. So within those past 2 years, I really ramped up my intensity and really committed to getting this debt out of my life. And that's where I saw the most progress. And I do have a ton of videos on my channel talking all about how I was able to do this, but one of the main things that I needed to maintain throughout this whole debt repayment journey was my motivation to keep going. So today I wanted to talk to you about 7 ways to stay motivated when you're paying off debt, because it sucks and sometimes you do need a bit of a push to get you through. And this video is sponsored by Aura, but I'll talk about them more a little later on. Paying off debt is not just about making more money. I think yes, that does have a lot to do with it, especially if you want to get out of debt as fast as you possibly can. But it's not the only factor. There has to be something else, something that sort of stokes your fire, gets you a little mad, and gets you feeling kind of feisty. So my first tip in staying motivated to paying off debt, because it is a long slog of a journey, is to find your why and make sure it's a good one. If you don't have a why in your debt repayment journey, or even your wealth building, or any goal that you want to achieve, money related or not, if you don't have a why to push you through and give you a reason, then it's not going to last. Your why has to be a reason that you're intensely passionate about. It'll be the thing that will push you through when you want to give up, and it's really going to push you to your finish line. And I think for the first 4 years of my debt repayment journey, I didn't really have a good why. I didn't really have a good reason to want to get aggressive on paying off my debt and getting out of it, which is why I sort of like sauntered along and just barely scraped by, paying just over the minimum payments every month. I didn't have a good reason, I didn't have a good why, and I was complacent in it. And when I finally found my own why, it really made the last 2.5 years of this journey possible, and it really got me to where I am today, which is debt-free. My second tip to stay motivated is to remind yourself of why you're doing this all the time. You'll need to revisit your why a lot. It's not going to be enough to just define your why and put it down and then never think about it ever again. You'll need to think about what you're doing and why you're doing it as often as you need to. Because paying off debt requires a behavior and even a lifestyle change. Sometimes it requires getting a side hustle or a second job to increase your payments. It requires budgeting, it requires selling things sometimes, and it even requires cutting your lifestyle and the things that you're used to way down in order to reach your goals. And you're not going to do it, at least not for very long, if you don't know why you're doing these things and if you don't remember why. Because throughout your journey, life kind of goes on day to day. Things will come up, there'll be distractions and temptations all along the way. So reminding yourself of your why is going to be a really powerful tool to keep you motivated and to help keep you going. It's going to help you say no to the temptations, the distractions, even the people questioning what you're doing or why you're doing it. Find a way to remind yourself so you can check in and stick to it. My third tip in staying motivated would be to check in with yourself a lot. So not only is it important to check in with your why and remind yourself of that, but check in with yourself and see how you're doing. You're not just going to be limited to measuring the progress of your account balance when you go on a debt repayment journey. You start learning a whole lot about yourself. You start to get to know yourself. And a debt repayment journey really ends up becoming like a personal and spiritual and self-development journey. And when it comes to checking in with yourself, I really do think it is a practice in mindfulness. And with that comes other tools and methods that you can use to actually do that, which is why I really liked using the app Aura. If you haven't heard of Aura before, they're a mindfulness and sleep app that is essentially like the Spotify for wellness. It has thousands of meditation stories and things like cognitive behavioral therapy, life coaching, spirituality, and even ASMR. I think mindfulness is for everybody, and it can be a really powerful tool to just sort of help you get through, whether that be moments of stress, anxiety, moments of negative self-talk and self-doubt, imposter syndrome. And for me, an app like Aura that is guided and structured to what I'm looking for myself really helps a lot. All you have to do is fill out their questionnaire online, and Aura will give you personalized tracks that you can use for sleep, meditation, and your experience on the app can be completely personal to you and what you need. So thanks again to Aura for sponsoring this video, and if you wanted to try the app yourself, you can click the link in the description down below, and the first 500 people who do will get 25% off. But pro tip, you can also try it completely free for 7 days. When I committed to getting out of debt, I had no idea that I would take myself on a journey of actually getting to know myself. A lot of the reason that I stayed in debt and was making no movements in my debt was because I was shopping to distract myself and to really avoid getting to know myself and doing that deep inner work that I had to take away when I committed to getting out of debt, because I could no longer fund that amount of distractions in my life anymore. And that teaches you a thing or two about yourself. And when you remind yourself of that and check in, it's a really great way that you can kind of say, I'm doing all right. I think I'll keep going. Tip number 4 is to check your budget regularly. I know a lot of my first tips were sort of more on the frou-frou, abstract, spiritual side, I guess. So if you're a more left-brained or analytical person, you like seeing concrete data, you like seeing the numbers, then checking in with your budget on a regular basis, even daily, which I did personally, or even checked it multiple times a day, is a great way to actually measurably see your progress. You get to see where you started, where you are, and where you're going. A budget is definitely not something that you do just at the beginning of the month and then you never look at it again. The budget is your plan, it's your spending tracker, and it really sort of reveals your behavior and where you like to spend your money. You'll see real quick where you've overspent, where you've saved, and you can move money around to keep tackling that debt. That's exactly what I did for 2.5 years straight to help me get out of debt. If you guys want some recommendations for budgeting tools, I will leave all those linked down below. And it forced my goal to be on my mind constantly because my goal was money related, debt related. Every single transaction was on my mind, and I could see every single month how much I was or even wasn't putting down on that debt. So not only is it your concrete tool in helping you get out of debt, it also can end up being one of your number one check-in tools to keep you accountable, help you keep going, and help you stick to that goal. Tip number 5 is to be your own best friend. I think it's important to acknowledge the work that you've done and that you've committed to in your debt repayment journey. It's a hard journey and not everybody is willing to do it. By your committing to get out of debt, you're doing something a little radical. So make sure you know how far you've come, because you likely have gone further than you think. But as you continue along that journey, at least for me, I think you start to believe and start to build a lot of confidence in yourself because you're in the middle of that journey and you're seeing the progress. You're actually doing it, you're taking that action. And with that comes a confidence that you may not have ever known was there before. For me, a lot of the times I would look back at my budgets, at my account balances, and I would just kind of be like, we're doing all right. And I think taking the time to recognize that, remind yourself of it, and congratulate yourself will really help you stay motivated and help you keep going. My next tip would be to be patient. I hate being patient. I lived my whole life and built up $120,000 of debt and a stupid amount of clothes and stuff, all because I want it now. We live in a world where we can get pretty much anything we want whenever we want it. So when you commit to getting out of debt and then start to understand how long it's really gonna take, it sucks. One of the biggest lessons I learned in getting out of debt was a lesson in patience. I always knew kind of how long it would take, and it's easy to say, okay, it's gonna take me 2.5 years to pay that off. And in many ways, that's not a long time. But when you're going through life on a day-to-day basis, experiencing life as we do, getting up, going to work, kind of doing the daily routine, It can feel like an eternity. And depending on what your income structure is, there can be a whole lot of waiting involved. I would often find myself making these grand plans and getting quite motivated and excited about how much I could pay off whenever I built my budgets at the beginning of the month. And it would help stoke my fire for quite a bit. But then I'd have to wait another 2 weeks. I had to wait till I got paid to start putting this plan into action. And so this is where I think the other tips of checking in with yourself, checking in with your why, checking in with your budget are all really great things to help you in the interim of when you actually take the action of paying off some real money on that debt, whether it be waiting through pay periods, waiting for bonuses, waiting for things to go on sale so you don't have to pay as much. There's a whole lot of waiting that's involved in a debt repayment process. And when you're used to the I want it and I want it now mindset, it really does teach you a lesson in patience. And the other thing I would do is, while I was kind of sitting there waiting and trying to be patient, it really helped build up my excitement and anticipation for when I actually did get paid. I was able to slam some money down on my debt and watch that account balance start to decrease. And that always felt really good and sort of restoked my fire, where it was almost like a reset, where I was able to wait that next 2 weeks to put more money down on my debt. So use your patience to not only be patient, but to help you stay motivated too. My 7th tip would be to find your support system. For me, on my personal journey, that looked like my partner, that looked like my family, that looked like my friends, that looked like you guys and this community and us talking to each other on Instagram and on the Facebook group and even in the comments here on YouTube. So whatever a community and a support system looks like to you, it can be one person or it can even be a stranger on the internet. Having a support system to not only keep you accountable, to bounce ideas off of, and to help check in with each other, it's worth its weight in gold in keeping you motivated and helping you actually reach your goals. Some other things that I did to stay motivated was I changed the content that I watched and listened to and read. Especially at the beginning, I went from watching hauls and styling videos for entertainment to listening to Dave Ramsey and David Goggins yell at me to help me stay motivated. And it really helps. I listened to podcasts, I read books about personal finance and minimalism and intentional living. Essentially, I really tried my best to surround myself with people and with content that reaffirmed the goal that I was trying to achieve. So surround yourself with content and with a community and with people that are rooting for you. So, getting out of debt, it isn't all about motivation. A lot of it is about planning, about action, about sacrifice. But if you find yourself needing that little boost along the way, then I hope these tips will help you stay motivated and reach your own debt-free goals. Let me know how you guys stay motivated in your own debt repayment journey or with any other goal that you might have for yourself. Thanks again to Aura for sponsoring this video. And again, if you were interested in trying the app yourself, you can click the link down below for 25% off. If you guys could do me a huge solid and give this video a thumbs up, it really helps support my channel more than you might think. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. See you in the next one, guys. Bye.